talked to Brady before.
How's he doing?
Seems to be doing okay. Seems to be ready to get back. What are the conversations like with him and figuring out sort of where he is and what the plan is at?
Yeah, he's eager, to say the least, wanting to get out and play. I have to keep him in check sometimes. He throws his spikes on. I'm like, now's not the time for spikes. You're more of a turf guy today. And just moderating his swings and how much he's moving around. I see him pregame, he'll start looking like he's going to jog or start to sprint, but we're just taking our time with it and making sure that we're following the orders he's been given. We have professionals that take care of the body, and so that's where we're listening to what they have to say and making sure we're following their guidelines. So I know he wants to get out there. I don't see it as taking too much longer. I know in his mind, or anyone else who is a competitor, they want that to happen now, but now just means probably a few more days.
It's specifically tough for him just because of this is his last year and so much expectations on him. How have you seen him kind of handle that behind the scenes? I imagine he's sounded frustrating, but he's keeping his spirits up.
Yeah, I think when you bring it up to him, you can kind of let your emotions out a little bit on it. But really at practice, I've kind of encouraged him to pour into some of the other guys. I said, remember when you were as a freshman and how hard I was on you then, and still am probably, but look at Levi Jones. Isn't there so much wisdom you can give him? Sometimes just pouring into another guy can distract you a little bit from your own personal emotions. So that was kind of our message as we were down in Southern California on our way back was, don't worry about yourself. Get out of your own way. Do your work, do your job, but at the same time, every time you're digging on yourself, direct it somewhere else and start trying to help somebody else out. And I think that Brady has done a really good job with that. Still shows up and is a jokester and lifts everyone else's spirits. But I know that probably something that I always ask guys, what keeps you up at night? And I know that's something for him right now that's keeping him up, is wanting to get on the field.
Followed you guys to Irvine, huh?
He sure did. Yeah, I don't think he wants to miss any games. Yeah. And I think he also expressed how frustrated he was, during those games. Very hard to watch, especially when you can be in there and helping the team win. But it also gives you insight how special this thing is. When the game gets taken away from you for a day, it's just an off day. When the game gets taken away from you for 2 days, you start to scratch your head a little bit, and then the third day is when you start running around a little crazy and start to have some insight that what the real world is like, and makes you appreciate it more. And there's no doubt, as he started swinging the bat right now, he's moving a little faster, and so I anticipate he's going to catch himself and slow it back down and make sure that he's taking quality reps, because he wants to show everyone I'm ready right now, which usually gets guys in trouble. That was young Brady. Mature Brady is going to get in the box, control his timing, and crush baseballs.
We talked to Palmer as well. I know we talked about him on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Got a chance to sort of look back at what he was able to do on Tuesday. What impressed you about his first outing and how he was throwing it?
Yeah, it was 11 pitches, and so as quick as he was out there, he was already off the field. So I had to go back and watch video to make sure I didn't miss anything. I was also not only watching him, but watching the rest of the guys on the field, and even took a peek in the dugout. The excitement around it, each guy just getting fiery that he was out there. I got on Bazana at one point. I was like, what were you doing out there? It looked like you were pacing all over the place. I was just so excited to watch him throw and how well it was coming out of his hand. I couldn't stand still. I was so excited. So I think we all had a little bit of that emotion rolling through us that day. And I mean, he's getting it up to 97 right there. So I'd say he had a little bit of adrenaline going at the moment too.
Is there a plan for him going forward? Increase
keep pitching.
Count?
Keep pitching. If he looks like that, then just keep pitching. But obviously, first time out, nice to only have thrown 11. His pitch count we had going out there was a little higher than that to give him a chance to get in the game. But next time again, keep building up. There becomes a sweet spot of, do we continue on? A lot of the times it's every time there's an outing or something, you're throwing on another 10 or 15 each time, depending on the guy. And I'd say he'd probably be sticking with that course right now, but some of his bullpen sessions are quite a bit longer. So I'd say more just being conservative as we go on. That was 1 inning. Maybe next week or this weekend, 2, maybe 3, we'll see.
And then 4 to 6 weeks down the road, do you envision him being a midweek guy or a bullpen guy or a TBD on that?
Could fill a lot of different roles. He started throughout high school. His arm path is clean. He's got a clear head too. So I think as we build up and it kind of shows itself how he's handling the second inning. Right. Sometimes there are guys that are really good about going out the first inning, being dialed, sitting and getting back up. Can provide a few obstacles at first until you get used to it. So if he handles the 2 innings next time, if he handles maybe 2 times in a weekend, see if how he's responding after each outing. And that's where today is going to be big, is how's his catch play look? Because if you throw on a Friday, are you able to respond and throw on a Sunday? And if a guy's body is able to do that easy, then you can keep him in the pen and use him multiple times.
So kind of feeling out from your guys' perspective too.
A little bit as we build up. I think, who knows? I mean, he just wants the baseball all the time, but if he gets a couple innings and he handles the second up really well again, then we maybe try the third up as well, and just try to keep our eyes on it. As when is it starting to go down the other way, or is it continuing to rise? There are some other guys that the first inning may not be as clean, but that second and third inning get better and better. So you got to express some patience, but I usually like it when they go out right away and do a good job.
Him and Kyle coming back, obviously the same. It's almost like an infusion of talent there with trade deadline kind of positions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just bringing them both back now, what does that do for the staff in general?
I think when we were looking at the calendar and we had an idea when that timeline was, we were kind of looking at that date going, I can't wait for this day. This is going to be exciting. But there's no doubt it strengthens the depth. And other guys are going to be motivated too. And there's other high quality arms like that. Everybody has to keep improving. Sometimes when there's not as much pushing on you, you can become complacent to an extent. Not that I'd say there's been much or if any, at all of that, but when you're surrounded by guys that are really, really good and fresh at this point, it kind of helps everyone else around them. You don't feel like you have to do as much. It makes your job easier. A couple years ago, we did a drill. We had a guy throwing on the mound, and we were having trouble throwing strikes. So we put everybody on defense. I'm talking everybody in the clubhouse on defense behind him against one of our hitters in a scrimmage. So it's essentially 40 versus 1, getting the idea that you have so many people that have your back. And he went out there and filled up the zone, actually struck 2 of the 3 guys out that he faced because he was throwing strikes. Hard to strike out if you're not throwing strikes. And he had expressed, that just felt so good knowing that I have all of this with me. I'm not alone. And so when you have other guys behind you in the pen, or if we had a rough game, there's something to look forward to, knowing, hey, I got Segura right behind me, I got Kamatz right behind me, or May's the next guy up, or whoever. There's a sense of calm that comes with having more depth and guys like that are bringing that new energy. So as everyone else is starting to maybe feel fatigue come in a little bit, these young, fresh arms are hey, let's roll, man. What are we slowing down for? I mean that with Palmer and Scott. Scott being an upperclassman, but still young.
Yeah.
Still young at heart.
You?
Yeah, well, thanks.
Very young to me.
Right.
Is that Phoenix, the drill?
What's that?
Coop, Phoenix?
Who was out there on the mound? No, that was Washburn a handful of years ago. Yeah, and he had really good stuff. And he's over, still pitching right now, but great young man. And
Little Miss.
he did for 1 year, and then moved over. Yeah, but try stuff like that. That's not the first time. It won't be the last time we do something like that. But it's encouraging guys that sometimes it can be a lonely place there or in the box, and it's making sure that everyone knows that you're not alone. So,
what is Micah's status for the weekend?
Continuing to improve. That was the report I just got. I'm curious to see how he moves around in practice today, so I'm paying close attention to that.
Is it his quad again?
No,
Or something
no
different?
legs.
No legs.
No, his legs are good. Legs are moving. Still can beat me in a race. I wouldn't say a whole lot, but yeah. Some of the movements and stuff he's doing, I guess we're getting good reports back on it. I think he's also frustrated when it's, again, you're on that last year of competing. It could probably be very frustrating, so I try not to bother him too much or push him, because he's probably already pushing himself a lot more than he probably should be or needs to. So yeah, just trying to calm him a little bit.
Was it something that just surfaced up on the road, or was it something he's been dealing with all year?
Just from what he said, just kind of some lingering stuff that he started to feel just with some of his turning and everything, and started to just kind of bite a little bit more every time. So, all right, let it calm down. And this is another case where we're trying to see the whole season, that infusion of when he does come back. And also Brady, we know those guys are going to get healthy and get back out there. It's just making sure that we're really thriving, especially end of April, May, and June,
They're back
especially
for good when
June.
they come back.
Yes, as opposed to having that doubt. I'd rather fill my tank of gas in my car than to just keep putting a gallon in at a time in case I need to make that long stretch. And so we're just trying to make sure he's ready for the long stretch.
So
There's a couple more.
So we could say it's nothing serious. It's just him waiting until he's.
No, I wouldn't say overly concerning by any means. I know it's going to get healthy. I just think it's a time, letting it calm down and roll back. So he should be good. If you watch like people like you and I run around, you always wonder if they're hurt just by how they move. But he still moves just fine. More so you than me.
You have no idea.
Yeah, I haven't seen you jog yet.
It's not a pretty sight.
Anything else?
And so his status is probably doubtful.
Probably going to be a little more patient with him for this weekend. I'd say at the conclusion of practice, we don't usually assemble our roster for the weekend until you got the day of, especially at home. We're not worried about travel, so we'll probably reconvene and see, just make sure we're checking our boxes at the end of today and see how everyone wakes up tomorrow morning and make a decision then for sure. But I don't know, I always go into it like all hands on deck and assume everyone's full throttle until otherwise.
Did you, were you at all curious to see how the team would respond from the weekend? I mean, it's kind of their first legit adversity, if you want to call it that,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like I was putting too much into it. I was just like, let's go to work. And I said, I have to, if we talk about treating every day like we're Ono, and this is the first game of the year, that the fresh the excitement that you feel, then I have to, leave all that other stuff behind as well too. I always keep a list of things that we are going to hit on and learn from, but I guess I never show up thinking or worried that we're not going to be ready to go. I can read their body language and their emotions pretty well, so I just by taking a look at them and how they were moving around on Monday when they got back, it looked like they wanted to play pretty bad, and so it's if I feel a little different with how they're moving around, I'm going to say something or we'll shake them a little bit. Sometimes it works, obviously. Sometimes it doesn't work, but. I didn't think that anyone was going to overthink some of that stuff. Baseball is going to happen. I don't want to forget that. And there are going to be rough days. And I think sometimes when we stress about striking out, it turns into 2 and then 3 and then 4. And so I chose to not stress out.
Carry on.
About all the crud and just move forward, man.
Thanks, Mitch.